Hi everyone. Before macro and markets, before Substack, before the pandemic, in this crazy fast changing world we live in today, I made a little video back in 2019 on why Europe is missing the technology train. It was my very first upload, different style, different idea, different thinking of how to make videos. Nevertheless, the message was real. 6 years later, now today I want to bring it back to reflect upon, because I think it is not only still relevant, but might even have more relevancy than back in the day. Because Europe still hasn't caught up. Europe still has a different idea and imagination of what innovation means compared to other parts of this world. Capital is draining, and the structural problems I mentioned back in the day have only deepened and widened. So here's that old video, unfiltered, unbiased, a little bit messy, different thinking of the style, but maybe ahead of its time. For you to decide, was I right? Am I right? Is Europe still missing the technology revolution? And how's the outlook and the opportunities for Europe?
Hi guys, what's up? My name is Chris and I'm a consultant having worked nearly a decade in the finance and the tech industry. I'm starting this channel now because I'm getting really frustrated about the situation here in Germany and in Europe in terms of how far we are lacking innovations behind any of our counterparts in the US and China, and also how far we are developing instead a developed country when looking at blockchain, artificial intelligence, quantum computers, Internet of Connected Devices, 5G infrastructure communications layer. And I'm just getting really frustrated that we do not set or establish any big players worldwide or internationally, and that everything is influenced and coming directly from Silicon Valley or from China. Basically, I just want to share knowledge and share insights about all these technologies. I also would like to encourage people to invest more money and time to the real dedication, start companies and truly do what they believe and they want to do, instead of following the rat race, everyone's daily rat race, just flowing or swimming with the flow. Having said that, today I'm going to give you my 5 top reasons why I think we are in fact not only lacking in innovation, but why we are missing out in the technological revolution worldwide. First of all, we need to change our mentality. Being risk averse here in Europe as opposed to USA or China is not a criticism, but it's a fact. We do not have this do or die gladiator mentality, but instead of always thinking about doing something when we want to do something, we should just do it, instead of always thinking about it and in the end not doing it. And the next subset of mentality is wait and see mentality. Doesn't work anymore like a decade or 2 decades ago. If you do not proactively engage into your competitors' field today, you might be out of business by tomorrow or lose a substantial market share. Also, we need to change our attitude towards lifelong learning. If we are not reluctant to fast change and having this mentality of consistently keeping to learn, then we might be running out of business, out of our jobs faster than we've ever thought. Number 2, lack of investments. There are literally no venture capital firms here, or if they are not that big as in other parts of this world, or they are controlled by these parts of the world. And by lack of money, I'm not only speaking about institutional money, I'm speaking about government money, political investments, or private household money. For the private households, that links back again to the fact of being more risk averse and not making substantial investments in any risk-taking investments. But speaking of the institutional or political investments, there is just no priority or focus here and wrong incentives to invest the money here instead of in some other countries. This is also lack of education, or let me say hype of technologies, because people are not aware of the topics, do not understand the significance for the future of their individual or overall positions, and also politics set priorities differently in terms of immigration, socialism and other investments, instead of setting the incentives and structures right to set up money here in Europe to invest into these technologies. The government does not invest any substantial amount of money into these technologies. For example, Germany has a digital strategy where they want to invest until 2025 around 3 billion into digital topics like blockchain, artificial intelligence, digitalization and so on and so forth. And that is like nothing compared to the big players. China, for example, already invested, I think, only in artificial intelligence alone around 10 billion. They have a strategy set up to invest 150 billion by 2030. Number 3, bureaucracy. You almost feel like a criminal when you set up a company here or you invest into some structured or complex investment vehicles by all the paper that is manually handled and needs to be filled in. Instead of digitalizing all these processes to upload it electronically via cloud or other platforms, here in Europe we have to fill in tons of paperwork manually, which actually keeps you from running your daily operations of your business. Also related to fiscal acquaintances, you need to pay even money before you have started the operations of your business or even had any positive revenue streams. So that's also a big burden to actually start a business and do all that paperwork handling. Number 4, political failure in terms of setting the incentives right. The tax system we are living and facing here in Europe is way too complex. Looking, for example, at Germany, private households and companies are taxed way too high. The tax system is way too complicated, which increases again the burden and cost to handle the taxes. And also the way the incentives are set in the system are very unequal or just not efficient. Giving out 5G licenses for building up the new telecommunications infrastructure layer via auctioning to the big companies, to Telefonica, United Internet and Telecom and so on and so forth, instead of relieving them or subsidizing them by giving the licenses out for free, they are even taxed by bidding via auctions on the licenses. Total contrast to USA and China, which does not really make any sense from my point of view, because these big players already have to invest heavily in the new infrastructure, which comes at a great price, and instead of relieving them from these costs, they even tax on that before they can set the infrastructure up. Also, another sub-point of this is the lack of focus and prioritization in terms of investing money into heavy education. We here in Europe, we do not have an MIT or one of the best technological schools like in China, because politics set their priorities in investment differently. Small and medium-sized enterprises, which are really the backbone of the European industry and economy, should be relieved at least from paying such high taxes. This brings me to my last point, and that's system fragility here in Europe. Internationally and domestically, we have a very fragmented political landscape with different priorities and focus. Having said that, it makes it very, very challenging and difficult to have a synchronized ideology and goal setting. And above mentioned goals and targets, like to invest heavily into education and institutions, we are mainly focused with topics like Brexit, data protection and many, many other topics which keep us internationally and domestically from achieving the real goal, investing money into research and setting the scene right to establish a couple or at least a few big players in the technology sector. Combining this effect with the declining working age population definitely does not give us a very positive outcome and outlook for our next generations to come yet in this setting for Europe here. Having said that, the problems and the challenges of mentality, lack of venture capital and money investments, bureaucratic failure, system fragility and political failure by setting the incentives right can only be overcome if we are focusing on changing ourselves proactively and engaging to lifelong learning and to openly adapt to changes that are out there. Lastly, we need to focus on the strength that we can deliver, may it be any product, software solution or whatever else strength we might have. This all can only be overcome if we invest more time in education and embrace and drive change more proactively. Thanks guys. If you like my video, please like and subscribe or leave any comments in the section below. Bye bye. For now I gotta run and study.